Hey guys, thanks for clicking on my face and checking out my channel. I am John Starr from ActMovieGuy.com, and this is a review of The Fablemans. I am a blind film critic, and I review films with audio description, and this is available in theaters. Yeah, that's a new one. Didn't expect me to say that, did you? Yeah, so The Fablemans. When people migrate over Christmas weekend to the theaters, yeah, sometimes they migrate to films. And I knew the box office on this was not very high. I wasn't very worried about there being a lot of people in the theater. So I was like, well, if this is going to be me checking out and sliding my way back into the theater. I guess it'll be this. So, and the technology worked, and it was weird experience being back after having done it for so many years and then devoting so much time to reviewing films at home. It's very weird. Last film I saw in theaters was Dumbo, the Tim Burton version, I think. So it's been a minute since I bothered to try to do this. And yeah, I did it for Steven Spielberg's The Fablemans. And this was, a really great film. The audio description here has to capture the wonder of movie making. It does a great job of describing the times when they're watching a film and they're trying to watch this scene. He goes and watches right at the top of the show. They're watching the greatest show on earth, and there's a scene from the film, and he's watching it, and it's really intense. This is this intense moment from the film, and it's Sammy's first film ever, and the audio description sort of perfectly captures that, the moment of a little kid seeing a film for the first time, and also being able to translate what's happening on screen from this other film, this real film, and being able to put that into words. And then from there, we follow the characters. It's the Fablemans. And that's how you can tell if somebody's seen the film, because I've heard Fableman a lot from people, and it's Fableman. They pronounce their last name in the film. It's Fableman. All those people who are trying to pronounce it Fableman or whatever, they're not. They haven't seen the film. So it's this young kid, Sammy, who has other siblings around him. He's not the oldest or the youngest in the film. So he's in there, and he has this newfound love of film that comes over him. He's trying to figure it out. He doesn't quite understand it. He's only seen the one film, so it grows on him. But he starts to sort of understand how you can tell a story through film, and then he ends up, throughout the course of the actual movie, making little short movies with his friends, sort of like experimentally honing his craft, and then actually showing them, being able to show them to people, because I guess the local theater let him do it. I mean, there's some scenes where it tells that he's in a projection booth, and everybody else is down like in the theater. And I'm like, man, they let him use that like a real theater for this? That's cool. But there's other times where he just has a home projector, and he can just watch some of his things at home. So film is just, it courses through the Fablemans. It's the connecting theme here are the stories we tell through film, and that's because it's semi-autobiographical life of Steven Spielberg. It's based off of his childhood. He wrote the script along with Tony Kushner, something which he rarely does. He's actually written very little of his scripts. So the fact that he joined in with Tony Kushner to write the screenplay here is sort of an interesting note. He wanted to make sure, I guess, it was done right. I'm sure that there were little details that he just wanted to have creative control over, because Tony Kushner's a great screenwriter and wrote the adaptation for Spielberg's West Side Story for him. So it's not like he doesn't trust Tony Kushner. Dude wrote Angels of America. Like, we're good. If he wants to write something, let him write it. So it's like, if Aaron Sorkin wants to write something, let the dude write something. But yeah, I think he just wanted to do it just because of the personal angle of the whole thing. And his parents are played by Paul Dano and Michelle Williams, who are getting decent amount of awards attention. I have a problem with Michelle Williams being considered in lead and Paul Dano being considered in supporting. She has like marginally more screen time, but not to the point where it's like you feel like they're in like two totally different categories. But then again, the Oscars are a place where they decided that Judas and the Black Messiah had no lead actor. That they were both supporting. There was no lead in that film. So sometimes they just accept category fraud and they just whatever, just put them in there, stick them in there. But when I think about somebody as a lead character, I think about, are we seeing the story through their eyes? Is the story about them? Is it the kind of story that's structured to where it is, you know, maybe like a two-parter, like either two men back and forth or a man and a woman back and forth, you know, a great, like an example of how somebody cannot be who we see the story through, but also a lead is Silver Linings Playbook. I'm just using that, the first film that popped in my head. Bradley Cooper is obviously the storyteller, the one that we see, but he's equally matched by Jennifer Lawrence throughout the whole film, because that's kind of what the point of the film is. But it's his family that we see, and she's just this person that he meets and falls in love with. So because of the way that the film is structured, she ends up becoming the lead actress of that film. Here, I don't think that Sammy has a unique connection with his mom that he doesn't have with his dad. I think he has a connection with his dad, and there are scenes that he shares with his dad, things that they do together and conversations that they have, just like he has with his mom. He has scenes with his mom. It's just that his mom makes a choice in the film. I won't spoil it, but his mom makes a choice in the film that puts more weight on their relationship. It makes it a little bit more serious, and I think perhaps maybe that's why she's being considered in lead. I just think it does her a disservice, because it's really a supporting performance. Everybody's there to support Sammy and his story of wanting to be a director, and wanting to make films, and you know, sort of at all costs, like this is what he wants to do. There's nothing else. And some people are supportive and some people aren't. Throughout the, you know, some people see the art in it and realize that, you know, an artist has to be an artist. There's a nice cameo. I'm not calling it a supporting actor performance, and I wish people would stop nominating it. He's good in it, but oh my God, Judd Hirsch is in this movie for like a fart, like a bathroom break. His presence in this film, you could literally miss by going to the bathroom. If you went to the bathroom at the wrong time, you could miss the entire performance of Judd Hirsch. It's not that long. It's like he's in 4 scenes, 2 of which he speaks. So, yeah, it's and it happens all sort of like successively over the course of 5 to 6 minutes, maybe seven. Um, yeah, I think his performance is even smaller than that of Judi Dench's in Shakespeare in Love. I think he has less screen time. So it's, I mean, he imparts wisdom. It was good, and he's Judd Hirsch, and I'm not going to take anything away from him because Judd Hirsch is an amazing actor. But wow, that's a small performance. I mean, putting that up against like Brendan Gleeson and Banshees of Inisherin, it's just like night and day. I mean, Brendan's in like most of the film and is basically he's basically a lead, and they're running him as supporting because they don't think they can get 2 lead actors nominated. So he's basically a lead actor in a supporting race, and then they're going to try to run Judd Hirsch's speech, basically a monologue. He basically has a monologue um, as a supporting actor performance. The Oscars are so weird. But yeah, I mean, he's good. He's fine. Seth Rogen is Seth Rogen in this film. I totally understand why his Oscar campaign fell off the face of the map. I didn't find anything special in that at all. I actually thought he was better than Steve Jobs. If we're talking about how close Seth Rogen has ever come to an Oscar, I felt like there was more of a performance from him and Steve Jobs than there is in this. This, he actually has to be kind of a lovable schlub, which is exactly what he is in normal life. I mean, that's the persona that he projects. This is Seth Rogen just being Seth Rogen, with a little bit of a tie-in to a dramatic storyline. He ties slightly in and has to have a couple moments where he, has to look a little downcast, I guess you could say. But mostly it's just him. But Paul Dano is the one who I was thinking about how interesting it is that he's younger than I am. And he's playing a father of like multiple children. And the maturity level, he's also younger than Michelle Williams. So, just the maturity that he brings to a performance of playing this guy who has all these kids, and some of them are kind of old. I mean, they get up there in age, and Paul Dano is playing parent to, teenagers. And I don't know that he necessarily could be parent to all of them. So I think there's something very understated about the choices he has to make to try to pull off that parent role, to make the choices and come across as fatherly, and the kind of advice and the kind of, he's not ever the guy who really yells or screams and shouts. He's not one of those guys. He's just kind of the chill dad. And I think maybe that's going to get lost on people, that he's playing this sort of even dad. But a lot of people had those roles. A lot of people had the dad that just was even tempered, despite things they may or may not know about the life around them. So it's I thought that was an interesting performance. Gabriel LaBelle, he's fine playing essentially what is Steven Spielberg, but Sammy he's playing Sammy Fableman here, but basically Steven Spielberg. I thought he's fine. It's a nice introduction to Gabriel LaBelle and the potential of him as a character. He has like a couple of scenes that have some weight to them. They do throw a couple little scenes where he has to deal with anti-Semitism, so his character has to deal with a little bit more than just the wonder of movies. Plus he has part of a family dynamic that he has weight in, that he has to deal with. And Michelle Williams, I think probably that's why people keep gravitating towards her, is because the way her character is structured is the most interesting. She has the most acting to do, I guess you could say, the most like obvious acting where they give her these performances where she like sobs uncontrollably or is clinically depressed or having maybe what could possibly be considered a little bit of a manic moment. You know, just these little glimpses of her life. She has the most range of any of the characters in terms of that. So David Lynch has one great scene, but his presence in the film is about the same as Judd Hirsch's. Like, you could nominate either of them for the for best monologue of the year. It's just like I don't understand. I do not understand. There has to be an actual performance. If we nominate Judd Hirsch and not people who are giving actual performances like Brian Tyree Henry, it's just like, what are we doing in life? Like, what are we doing? Yeah, it's David Lynch has a monologue, and it was great. I'll give him that. It's written very well. But then again, it's Tony Kushner's words. Of course they're written very well. And then they go out and they get these people that can perform them very well. So I what else am I supposed to expect? I loved this film. But this film was great. It's a film about the love of cinema made by literally one of the best living directors. Like, depending on who you say, when you talk about like a legacy, anybody who keeps saying a director that's only had like 4 films, stop. Like, if you're like, who's the best living? Damien Chazelle. Okay, on film 4, he's the best. Like, no one else. He's on his 4th film. You know, I mean, he has a lot of promise, but can we not on film 4? You know, so yeah, I mean, I feel like it's like a Spielberg or Scorsese conversation that we're having. Maybe Coppola, because he's still around. So it just, yeah, you know, I mean, it just depends on what you're looking at. So, but he is one of the greatest living directors, if not the greatest, depending on how you see film. So for him to be describing film, and he describes sort of the art of film, he even sort of describes the filmmaking process through Paul Dano trying to explain to his son at the beginning of the film how movies are, you know, the capturing of the film and the trickery of using static images and moving them rapidly enough to give you the idea that you're watching a motion picture. That is, Spielberg gets all of that. And in the scenes, this film excels in the scenes where Sammy is in his love of film and he's doing something film related. Either he's shooting his film, he's doing editing, he's watching a cut of his film. All of those scenes do really well. And then he has to incorporate the family dynamic, which I'm sure was tough for Spielberg to do because by him saying that this film is loosely inspired by his childhood, he's kind of putting his family on display. So he has to choose what to share and what not to share, and what he wants to tell and what he doesn't want to tell. So I think it's a great movie. And I think it has great audio description. I didn't stay through the credits. I'm sorry. I just wanted to get out of the theater. And I did not finish. I don't know who narrates this. That's the downside of actually physically going to a movie theater, is not sitting in a movie theater to the end of the credits and taking that time to navigate your way out and use the bathroom and stuff like that. So it's 2 hour. It's almost 2.5 hour movie. So I had other things on my mind other than sitting to the end of the credits. But whoever that was, good job. You did a good job of capturing the performances, which are fantastic, capturing the cinematic moments. It's a film that captures wonder. It's a film that is aimed very specifically at Oscar voters. I mean, this is a film about the love of cinema. I don't know how they would pass this film up. This is exactly why this type of film is being nominated. I don't know necessarily why this film, I part of me is afraid to say, is this film bombing at the box office because the main family is Jewish? Like, are people staying away from this film because they can't relate to that? Because that's really sad if that's true, because there's a whole family dynamic here that is totally relatable, that I feel like people would understand and get. It has nothing to do with them being Jewish. And yes, they do talk about Hanukkah, and they make jokes about how at Christmas time, how they're trying to find their house. They're like, it's the only one without Christmas lights. So, yeah, there are, there are times. So, but this film is about the love of film. It's about family, and it's about a family that happens to be Jewish. That's like the third thing down the list. So I really hope people watch this and enjoy it. Do I think it can win Best Picture? Maybe. Do I think it should? I don't know. I haven't seen all the films. Is it my best picture of the film? My best picture of the year right now? No, but it might be my top 10. My top 10 is going to be solid this year. I'm going to feel really good about my top 10. I can tell you that, because I've said that a couple times, even just recently. I don't know why we got so many great films at the end of the year, and like the first 9 months of the year were like barren. So I'm going to give The Fablemans an A. I think I've talked about it enough. I hit all the heavy points. I wouldn't care if it wasn't nominated for score. The score didn't do anything for me. I would say that I think I've listened to better scores this year. I'm kind of throwing that on at the end. I know it's up for score. I don't care one way or the other. It's not going to be in my top scores of the year. It just didn't have, oddly enough, it didn't have its own sweeping score that is memorable. There was nothing memorable to me about the score to the film. So, but it was fine. It just, when you're talking about selecting like the 5 to stand out, this would not be one that I would select for that. So that's it. Please subscribe. I'm still trying to get to 100 subscribers this year. I thought I set an easy goal, and the fact that I'm this close and I haven't been able to hit it, and we're this close to the end of the year it's kind of heartbreaking. I don't think I'm gonna get there, but you never know. So subscribe if you can. I have a website, macthemovieguy.com. You can go to Twitter and follow me there at macthemovieguy. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what has audio description where you can watch it, and you can go to the adna.org. That's the adna.org, and you can look up your favorite films and TV shows and see who's narrating them. I will review another film for you guys, and I will catch you on the other side.